The O Cannabis Conference and Expo returns to Toronto June 1st through the 3rd, and there's still some good booth locations available. This exciting event is free for cannabis retailers and will feature Tommy Chong receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award at the O Cannabis Industry Awards. For more information about exhibiting or to register to attend, go to ocannabis.com. That's OCANNABIZ.com.
Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your cannabis business podcast. Today's podcast is sponsored by the kink in my neck, like 3 days strong, and it is not going away. So, did get a little bit more sleep last night, so that's good. But today we're going to talk about the top 10 cannabis news stories of the week. Starting off with number 10, Champion Brands assembles a task force to accelerate expansion of their new psychedelic clinics. Number 9, 5 ways quarantine has changed cannabis forever. We're going to dive into this a little bit later on in a different podcast, talking about different preferences that this virus has created. For some customers, cannabis, once considered a discretionary purchase, has fast been added to the list of necessities, fueling an unprecedented green rush with record-breaking sales since lockdown went into force in March. So look for that episode on how this virus has changed the way that cannabis smokers consume. In addition, we'll talk about innovative trends for budget products, all coming out later this week. Number 8, best practices for protecting cannabis retailers from robberies. These are one of the biggest threats to the cannabis retailers. And recently, for example, robbers have invaded retail cannabis stores and medical marijuana dispensaries in Bozeman, Montana, Chicago, Sacramento, California, and Seattle. Theft at retail cannabis stores is especially bad in Denver, which experienced a 3-year high after 6 related armed robberies in 2019, all of which begs the question, what's the best way that cannabis retailers can protect their goods and property? I got robbed on 420 at gunpoint when I was a manager of a key bank out in a suburb of Seattle, and it is not fun. It's especially crazy now because you can have telephones which have cameras that can record what's going on, as well as masks. I mean, you can wear your mask in a bank, which is just crazy. My sister was in California during a robbery. The guy in front of her robbed it. She had no clue. She didn't know what was going on because she was looking at her phone. So, yeah, robbery is dangerous. It's scary too. The lactic acid buildup is real. But I digress. Number 7 is a new legislation aims at decriminalizing magic mushrooms in New York State. Number 6 is Nevada okays the resumption of in-store cannabis from some cannabis retailers. So effective May 9th, retailers can resume selling cannabis in stores after submitting a plan and receiving approval from the state. Approved recreational cannabis retailers in Nevada will be able to conduct in-store sales starting Saturday as part of the governor's broader plan to open up the state amid the pandemic. Number 5 is there's a campaign to decriminalize psychedelics in D.C. that's cleared for signature gathering. Number 4, Illinois legal cannabis sales during the first full months of coronavirus lockdown amount to over $37 million. Number 3, chairman and CEO of a profitable cannabis firm joins Champion Brands board of directors. Number 2, a $5 billion market valuation for psychedelics may be too low. And number 1, Cannabis Group asked Congress to include banking access in the next pandemic bill. State legal cannabis businesses are forced to deal with mostly cash basis. A coalition of cannabis advocacy groups sent a letter to the House leadership on Friday asking that they incorporate language allowing for the cannabis industry to access banking services in the upcoming pandemic relief legislation. The banking restrictions means that many cannabis businesses accept only cash for purchases rather than contactless options such as credit cards or remote payment, which hampers recommended social distancing practices. Well, hopefully they'll also include delivery. Washington State doesn't have delivery, for example, so maybe this will be a fast track for banking and delivery and regulation, full-on legal regulation. We're going to have to wait and find out, though. So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.
How do cannabis CEOs balance growth and optimization strategies? What is THCO, Delta 10, and CBNA, and why should you care about these minor cannabinoids? And why isn't the endocannabinoid system covered in medical school? Most people think they're up to date in trends in the cannabis industry, but they're about 6 weeks behind. Learn about what is truly next in the cannabis space by joining myself, Brian Fields, and Kellen Finney every week on the Dime Podcast, and of course, on PodConnects.